Hello, my name is Victoria Clark and I am in Dr. Lewis's Pre-Calculus 2. Today we're going to be learning about the unit circle. The unit circle is used to measure angles and degrees. And the radius of a unit circle is 1, so we place the x and y axis in the middle of it. For example, the radius is 1. You have 4 quadrants. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Because the radius is 1, you can measure it by tangent and cosine. And the way that I learned this was all students take calculus. A for all, so the first quadrant will be, the positive will be cosine, sine, and tangent. And negative, sin A. Now for the second quadrant, only sine is positive. The negative would be cosine and tangent. For the third quadrant, tangent is the only positive one. And the negative is sine and cosine. And for the fourth quadrant, which is C, the only positive one is cosine, and negative is tangent and sine. A circle is 360 degrees. And for a unit circle, you divide it in 3 different parts. So this will be 0 degrees. This will be 30 degrees. This will be 45 degrees, 60 degrees, and then 90 degrees up here. And then you would continue 120 plus 15 is 135. 135 plus 15 is 150. And this is 180. The smaller gaps are 15 degrees apart and the bigger gaps are 30 degrees apart. And then you will continue that throughout the unit circle. So 180 plus 30 is 210. 210 plus 15 is 225. 225 plus 15 is 240. And 240 plus 30 is 270. And then you continue this pattern through the whole unit circle. 270 plus 30 is 300. 300 plus 15 is 315. 315 plus 15 is 330. And 330 plus 30 is 360. Then you have your degrees for your unit circle. Help you find the points on the unit circle. You could draw a right triangle. This would be 60 degrees up here and 30 degrees here and 90 here, obviously. This is your opposite, this is your hypotenuse, and this is your adjacent. This is when you can use the acronym SO, CA, TOA. The S is for sine, the C is for cosine, and T is for tangent. Your adjacent is always going to be the square root of 3, your opposite is always going to be 1, and your hypotenuse is always going to be 2. So for sine, it's opposite over hypotenuse, which is 1 over 2. Your cosine is adjacent, which is the square root of 3 over hypotenuse, which is 2. And tangent is opposite, which is 1, over adjacent, which is the square root of 3 times, but you can't have a radical in the denominator, so then it'll equal. But tangent isn't really on the graph, so you don't really need to worry about that. So to bring it onto here, you're going to create your points. Okay, so 60 is going to be 1 over 2. 45 is the square root of 2 over 2. This is your sine, because cosine is x and sine is y. And then 30 is the square root of 3 over 2. And then you do the opposite going back up for your sine, which would be 1 over 2, the square root of 2, and the square root of 3 over 2. This is created throughout the whole graph. Oh, excuse me. In your second quadrant, you're going to follow this rule. So the positive is going to be sine, which is your y-axis. And you basically repeat what's over here, but your cosine is going to be negative. So it'll be negative 1 over 2, negative the square root of 2 over 2, negative the square root of 3 over 2. And then go up, and this will be positive, square root of 2 over 2, and the square root of 3 over 2 for your sine. And then your point on 180 will be negative 1 over 0. I mean, not over 0, but negative 1, 0. Your next point, because tangent is the only thing that's positive, which means everything is negative. So you're going to be, it's going to say the square root of 3 over 2, the square root of 2 over 2, and negative, excuse me, it'll be negative square root of 2 over 2, and then this will be negative 1 over 2. And then for your sine, it'll be negative the square root of 1 over 2. Then for your sine for 225, it'll be negative the square root of 2 over 2. And then your sine for 240 will be the square root, negative the square root of 3 over 2. Then for 270, it'll be 0, negative 1. Then for your last quadrant, which is the fourth quadrant, your sine will be, the only thing that's positive is your cosine. So cosine will be square root 3 over 2, square root 2 over 2, 1 over 2, and now your sine is what's negative. So, excuse me, this is the square root of 3 over negative 3 over 2, negative 2 over 2, and negative 1 over 2. And now on to your radians. To get radians, you do degrees times pi over 180. So this is 0. 30 would be pi over 6. 45, pi over 4. 60 is pi over 3. And 90 is pi over 2. For the second quadrant, it goes 2 pi over 3. 135 is 3 pi over 4. 150 is 5 pi over 6, and 180 is pi. All right, for the third quadrant, 220 will be 7 pi over 6. 225 will be 5 pi over 4. 240 will be 4 pi over 3. 270 is 3 pi over 2. The fourth quadrant, 300 will be 5 pi over 3. 315 will be 7 pi over 4. 330 will be 315 will be 7 pi over 6. 330 will be 11 pi over 4. And 360 will be 2 pi. And that is your unit circles, ladies and gentlemen. All right, for number 1, I got sine times negative 5 pi over 3. This is on the unit circle. It is in the fourth quadrant. Sine is negative in the fourth quadrant, and 5 pi over 3 is the negative square root of 2. So it'll be like this. Which will equal, because it's negative in the quadrant, the answer will be positive. Number 2 is tangent times 45 degrees. This is also on the unit circle. It is sine over cosine, which is the square root of 2 over the square root of 2, and that equals 1. I got secant times negative 7 pi over 6. That is in the third quadrant, and it is also the reciprocal of cosine. So it would be negative negative 2 over the square root of 3. And your answer will be negative 2 square root of 3 all over 3. Number 4 is arc cotangent, negative 1. Cotangent is in the first and fourth quadrant, and because it is negative 1, it will be 7 pi over 4, or 315. 5 is tangent inverse times negative 1 divided by the square root of 3, and that is also in the first and fourth quadrant, and it will be 330, but because it's not included, it's going to be negative 30 or negative pi over 6. Number 6 is arc of cosine times negative pi over 4, and because it's in the first quadrant, it's going to be positive cosine of pi over 4, which will leave you with the degrees of 45. 7 is sine times cosecant inverse times negative 2, and I did the odd even identity, so it will make cosecant negative times 2, which would be negative pi over 6, and then it would also make sine negative, which would be 1/2, and that would equal negative 1/2, because it would be sine over 6. So then your answer from the unit circle will be negative 1/2. Did you take it? Is it a picture?
No, dummy, it's a video.